You want details? Fine. I drive a Ferrari 355 Cabriolet. What's up? I have a ridiculous house in the South Fork. I have every toy you can possibly imagine. And best of all, kids, I am liquid. So, now you know what's possible. Let me tell you what's required.
Life advice, rr@gmail.com. We'll do a couple quick ones here. Okay. Hey, Ryan, have you thought about popping a gummy before the pod and or life advice portion and doing it high? Well, the answer is no to that one. He said maybe a holiday special life advice with Chris Long and Stone Ryan. That's not really my deal. I don't even really like it being hungover anymore. So I'm not 100% sure. I don't know what that would be like. I'm not a big weed guy, Kyle, as you know.
I didn't know that, actually. This is great news.
Oh, you thought I was a weed guy?
No, I didn't think you were, but it's just one of those things like don't ask, don't tell. Is that the right way to use that?
I don't even know. I think everybody's into weed now, or at least.
Well, it sounds like almost everybody.
Sounds like almost everybody. Yeah, not everybody. Hey, look, I'm not against it. You like weed? Go ahead. Like weed. I don't care. As I get older, I judge less and less. But yeah, I don't feel like doing a hey everyone. We still have a corporation over here we're trying to run.
Yeah, well, I didn't think that would be the thing, but like I don't know, like the last couple college games are stuck in on a Saturday. Maybe you just open the stash. I don't know.
I'll tell you, the Saturdays haven't been great for college football, but I don't know what kind of note taking you'd be going through. I know everybody, like, again, when I say everybody, I mean the movement of everybody being pro weed. But as I've said a couple times, I've been around some people that were super into gummies, and I'd be like, this can't be safe. Like, this can't be normal that you can just go ahead and get yourself a couple of these. But again, you can say the same stuff about booze.
It is a gamble.
So, yeah, right. So it's not
Tool concert.
Again, I don't want to.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not sitting around pining about. Like I could go to a Tool concert with a Pellegrino and be fired up. Okay, so I can't wait to see them again. Can't wait. It's the best. All right. So sorry about that, but I appreciate the question. Oh, there's more. All right. Anyway, 25 years old in sales, a startup that is growing quickly, and I might break six figures this year if things play out. Nice dude. Like other males my age that were fortunate to keep our jobs during the pandemic, I also got in the stock market and investing with all of this free time during I don't know what the hell what he's saying there. All right, let's face it. It's easier to get away with working less. Oh, working from home. Working less, especially in sales of the product that typically sells itself, and you're just in the way. All right, like that perspective, smart, young. All right. Hey, it's not you. Like younger guys. Look, older people. This isn't even an old or young, but a lot of people that want to kind of just take credit for stuff because it makes them feel better. It's more interesting to say you're awesome than say, hey, I'm actually pretty useless. Although if you're really self-deprecating and like so humble, it's actually maybe more annoying than being arrogant. Again, a different topic, another day. All right, so I like where this guy's head's at with this. He goes, I went through the typical evolution of a new investor. I already know where this is going. Where you think you get rich on a penny stocks and to buying airlines because the pandemic is trying to time the pump and dumps. That being said, I now look to invest and not trade as often. I also managed to take the obsession and emotion out of it after 6 months. If you were able to do that after 6 months, congrats to you. I was not able to take all of the emotion out of it. I just, but then eventually I did, but it took me longer than 6 months. And he wants to think towards the future. I'm over 90% return in 9 months with a positive outlook. All right. This is the other thing you think about investing. If anybody would ever say like, hey, you're going to have 90% returns on this, what are you waiting for? Cash out now. I don't know. Look, I already thought we were going to be heading into the other direction at some point, not because of an election or anything like that. It had more to do with, I just don't know how this bill isn't going to come due at some point, especially with more shutdowns and probably another stimulus at the start of next year. But again, I'm reading a lot of stuff that you're reading, so I'm not pretending to have any more insight than a guy that reads. So that's why I'm probably less confident about so many things other than maybe the NBA. And that's why I just, when people yell at me about what they know, I'm like, are you sure? And then it turns into like as if I'm yelling at everybody else. But I'm just, there's going to be a lot of topics where I'm sort of like, I don't know. So anyway, on the stock market, if you have 90% return right now, we're over 30,000 on the Dow, which again is not every stock. We understand this, but you're not going to have 90% returns staying in it the entire time. So why don't you get out for a little bit and then see where we're at in a little while? Honestly, I mean, if you're doing that well already, you're probably not going to keep that pace up. Like, are you hoping for 200% returns? Anyway, all right. Working at a tech company, I read a lot of the news on other companies, so I'm relatively informed. I like talking about business, what stocks are doing, and things like that. My roommate is into it as well, but talks about it not as much as me. Do people find this shit interesting like I do, or is this a quiet hobby, even on a conversational level? He also wants to let us know that he's stoned while he wrote that. All right. I think we all feel stoned after. Now, it's honestly, this is pretty straightforward. Like, why would you care if it makes you look bad, or why? Is it douchey to like investing? No. Why? If you're younger and not as many people in your circle are talking about it, then just don't talk about it with them. Okay. You know what I like about this email is that you actually seem to have a lot of self-perspective on this because, or self-awareness, however you want to phrase it. You are into this. You think it's fun. It sounds like you got your ass kicked a few times, which is what happens to all of us in the beginning because you're super arrogant. You know what's funny about age is I remember once like talking to Bob Ryan about a basketball thing when I was in my 20s. I mean, it's freaking Bob Ryan. I'm at the Garden and I say something to him and I go, well, this guy is so much better than this guy. And this is what's going to happen. I don't remember exactly what the sports commentary that I was throwing at him, but I was like, hey, it's Bob Ryan. But he'd been always awesome to me, still is awesome to me. And I was going to just share my opinion on something with him. And he kind of looked at me and went, maybe. And I didn't get it. I'm like, how is Bob Ryan just sort of indifferent? He's like, I'm not sure what's going to happen. I'm like, how do you not? Like, what do you mean you're not sure? How are you not saying you're wrong or you're absolutely right? And his whole point was that he's been around so long that he became more indifferent to thinking, or let me put it differently. He's been around so long that he actually is less certain about the outcome of things. And that's already happened to you at a young age, which is why I'm kind of impressed with this email. So first of all, liking to have your money work for you at a young age is not a bad thing. Like, don't be freaked out by what I would say the last couple of years, this momentum of where people that are successful suck. Because that whole department is a joke. There's these people that hate success, but the first person to like some stupid Instagram fucking post that's like, if it's not making you money, why are you doing it? Or the dumb meme where it's like rich guy, poor guy, and it's like expensive watch. Rich guy has a cheap watch. You know what rich guys have? Not cheap watches. Okay. So don't apologize for any of this. Be interested in it. Read the room, which I think you're actually capable of doing. And, I have the 90% thing scares me a little bit. He's like, hey, I'm over 90% in 9 months with a positive outlook. Dude, read about Tesla. And I don't say this because I understand what Tesla's going to do, but read how determined the bears are on Tesla to continue to tell you why the stock is worth nothing after it split like it did, and after it split, and then it wasn't on the S&P, and then people are like, see, I told you, which didn't make any sense why it wouldn't be on the S&P. So it dips, and everybody who loves it still bought the dip because they're like, the S&P thing doesn't even mean anything. And then guess what? They got listed. And then it took off again. And I'm not telling you it's going to keep taking off. What I'm telling you is that it's just like sports with Tesla, is that all the people that saw, let's say, Tesla as the quarterback out of college and thought he was going to suck, they keep telling you the company sucks all the time, and they don't know. And then the people that look at Tesla as the next Andrew Luck have been right so far, but they don't know the next 10 years. They can tell you they think you know. They're all just rooting for the same outcome, except this part of it, instead of a football player, it's their wallet. So, yeah, keep reading, but the longer you're going to be around, the longer you're going to be Bob Ryan. It's like, hey, I put some money into this. I don't know what's going to happen.
Sounds like it's like fantasy football. Like you talk
it's
about
legalized gambling. I mean, basically.
Yeah, but just as far as like talking about it, like some people really don't want to hear anything about your fantasy team, and other people are like, oh, dude, I got crushed too.
What you don't want to be is gambling guy who's never lost a fucking bet. All right. Or gambling guy that has like a 13-teamer in Vegas, and then shockingly, when it doesn't go his way, he's like, I can't believe I just lost 21 grand. You're like, no, you didn't lose 21 grand. You lost what you bet and the opportunity to win 21 grand, which wasn't going to happen because you weren't going to hit on a 13-teamer. All right. Investment guy early on, but a lot of us go through this. We'll go through this, and I did it too. You're so insecure in your 20s that you kind of want to stand out, and like a couple of your friends are killing it and you're maybe not, and maybe your friend who you think is killing it actually isn't, and then everybody's kind of overcompensating, and maybe you're just a completely well-adjusted guy in the middle of nowhere who's already got his high school sweetheart, and you've already got a kid on the way, and none of this shit even matters to you, and I envy you. I envy your limited view on things because you don't care about any of the other stuff that's going on. And I'm actually saying, like, you might be winning. But for those of us that are out there on the hustle in our 20s and you're living in some of these bigger cities and everything kind of a competition and these are your boys, but you're kind of, when they get really good news, you're kind of more bummed out than you are excited for your friend, because that's kind of the part that you don't like to admit. But a lot of you guys are doing it. I'd probably have done it. I know a bunch of my friends have done it to me. Being like, what? Fucking Russillo's killing it? Really? That's awesome. So, and look, it took forever. But just make sure you're not like talking up stocks. Like, just don't be like stock guy to everybody. Like, hey, that reminds you of this sick move I made on Dell, right? And I think you already did it by that email. Like, I kind of feel like, you know what? I feel like you kind of nailed that already. Okay. Okay, this one's bad. All right, our man checks in, 26 years old, from Philly. He's living at home now because he's working remotely. Join the club. All right. Went out with my sister and her friends, all in their 20s. Last Saturday, started drinking beer around 3 in the afternoon, having a great time. Fast forward several hours. We moved to our friend's house and I got a little over my skis. I eventually got into an argument with one of my sister's friends and called her a very bad word we're not going to repeat here. This is pretty much the one you can never come back from. I woke up having remembered absolutely none of it, went downstairs and my entire family would not speak to me. I think getting that wrecked at your family's house in your 20s is a whole, look, I do not have a family that gets after it on the holidays, so I can't even fathom what it would be like to be like home and be in my 20s and like, I don't know. And be like, hey, everybody, you guys want to throw in some Radiohead? So anyway, he went downstairs. Family wouldn't talk to him. Kyle, when you go home, I'm sure you get after it. Like, look, when I would go home for the holidays, I would go out, but I wouldn't like rage all day and then, show back up to my parents.
Maybe
house.
Maybe in the summer, if I'm like doing the Thanksgiving night thing, I'm sneaking into the basement and I'll see y'all in the morning.
Yeah, right. I'll see you guys.
I'm like a happy drunk anyway, though. I'm not in danger of doing anything that's gonna like sever relationships. But
I've had a few hungover Thanksgivings where I think my family on purpose, my father just to mess with me, we always had the earliest Thanksgiving ever. And, Thanksgiving, we all know the deal. I mean, some of you don't. Most of us do. That Wednesday's like the all-timer. And when you're younger, especially when you're coming back from college, you think you're so cool. And you're just like, yeah, I'm back. I'm awesome now. Did you see my hoodie from Vermont? Yeah. All right. So he goes, wakes up, remembers none of it. He goes, I knew in my head instantly I must have gotten an argument with my sister's friend because she was baiting me the entire night, giving me sass remarks after jokes I made, eventually saying that guys like me are pigs. And the last words I remember her saying to me was, I bet you would like to fight me. Huh. All right. That's not very nice. To provide some context on my sister's friend, she is very social activist, kind of that newer thing we're seeing. All right. So she constantly posts on Instagram stories about how woke she is. She gets in political arguments with anyone she possibly can. If you've not met this type of person yet, God bless you. After hearing about what I did, I knew my sister's friend had gotten to me to eat the cheese, and the mousetrap went slamming down on my neck. Very good analogy. I know I was completely in the wrong for calling a woman that word, especially one of my sister's friends. Okay, yes, you were. I am completely embarrassed and wish that I'd practiced some self-control. Sunday night, my mom expressed her disdain for me and told me that I needed to reevaluate my life. Both my sisters have not spoken to me. I'm very upset because my sisters and I are all extremely close and enjoy going out together. In addition, my family has been upset with me because the only time I ever go over the top drunk is when I'm at home. So wait, you only get this banged up when you're home? And the rest of the time you're fine? That's insane. I know, like, again, every you want to be delicate. Everyone is different here, but I don't know. Stop blacking out at your parents' house. This is the third time this year I've completely destroyed a potentially very fun night. It's humiliating and sucks. Yeah, you're bummed out. I don't know. So when you sent this email, that meant you sent it. So he was a week out. I would think at 26, the hangover would have gone away, but now you're having the mental apology tour hangover, which is going to be a lot worse in 2 more years. Just so you know, once that 27, 28-year-old thing, science kicks in and you're going to be bummed out for like a couple weeks. So hopefully you're over it. Hopefully you're over it by now reading some of this email. Okay. All right. Because I'm going to always operate with like, well, I don't know. I don't want to make any assumptions here. All right. So both of his sisters have not spoken to him. I'm very upset. Certainly close. Already said that. It's humiliating. It sucks. Yep. But it never happens when it's with my friends. And my sisters have emphasized that heavily to my mom and dad. All right, so the sisters have his back here saying, hey, actually, he's never like this except when he comes home. My issue is that I don't want to apologize to my sister's friend. I do not have any respect for her, and I do not want to give her the satisfaction after the way she acted. Am I completely in the wrong? I know that I'm partially am. Should I also give up entirely on going out in my hometown? It sounds like if this happens every time you're out in your hometown. But I think you could, if it's not this big of an issue the rest of the time, like, there are ways to figure this thing out, every now and then, like if you know it's going to be a long night, you can go, hey, I'm just going to drink soda waters with lemon and not tell anybody, and I'll clock it out. I mean, I know that sounds a little weird. You'd have to go through all that kind of stuff to avoid it, but you know what I'm saying here. There are ways around this. And if you're that fine the rest of the time, then I don't know what's going on when you're home here. All right. I think the key thing is that the apology. You don't want to apologize to the girl. You called her a really bad word, man. And you can not mean the apology and apologize if that fixes some things. Here's the deal. It's your sisters and you said you're close. You guys are going to be friends again. This is not going to be a thing that now changes the course of your friendship with your sisters forever. They're your sisters. They're stuck with you and you're stuck with them. So don't freak out about the long-term thing here with the sister. I think what you do is you explain it and be like, hey, look, I screwed up, but not unprovoked. And if you want me to apologize to her, I will, even though I don't want to. So maybe that helps repair some of this stuff. It expedites the situation with the sisters. But you should want to apologize just to make your mom a little happier and like whatever. But now you know the deal. It's like you have 2 strikes on you at home. And if this happens again, like when your parents start saying, like, reevaluate your shit, that's the worst. It sucks. My thing was my parents would be down on me. And then as soon as I was successful, it didn't matter. Then they were like, oh, hey, you're back for the weekend? You going to hang out with your buddies? I was like, yeah, I am. I'm 28 now. And they're like, oh, when I came back and I was like 25, 26, they're like, oh, you're going to go out the whole weekend? I'm like, yeah, I'm here visiting. They're like, really? I'm like, you guys are acting like this isn't normal for a 25-year-old. But again, everyone's parents are different. So this is repairable. It's not the end of the world. Don't act like it is. And I know it feels like it in the moment. But I would say if you're going to get super after it, try to time it out so it's not when you're with your parents and sisters all the time. What would you do in that case, Kyle?
If I was him, I think you just take one for the team. You could specifically apologize for saying what I imagine is the C word. And I don't know,
Champion.
move on. Yeah. Do it for your sisters. You don't have to feel sorry, just say sorry. It's easy.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know that I want to make a pattern of endorsing, hey, just apologize and don't mean it. But I mean, she was really saying all these terrible things to you.
I can imagine the buttons that were being pushed for a
right.
drunk guy. I mean, some of it's a little understandable, but definitely not.
And with all of these emails, I'll imagine there's sometimes people don't want to come clean on everything, but this guy admitted a lot of stuff he's not psyched about. So let's take him at his word. She was, he can't do what he did, but I also don't think people should get a pass on doing their whole thing, and for her to say, I bet you'd like to fight me. Like, what does that mean? So, let's just leave it at this. Just stop blacking out at your parents' house. All right. Problem solved. Okay. That's one to grow on. I hope you enjoyed the podcast this week. We have an awesome schedule next week. So again, we'll talk to you next week. Thanks, everybody.